The memory of that anniversary lingered more vividly than I expected. I could still hear the words, clipped and certain. Fraft fair trash. You need to grow up. My hands, which had just held the candle I'd carefully poured, felt suddenly heavy. My daughter laughed, the sound sharp in the quiet room. "You can't compete with Dad's coworker," she said, almost as if echoing my husband's sentiment. I didn't respond. I didn't argue. I only exhaled slowly and carried the candle to the shelf. The next morning, I returned to my workspace as if nothing had happened. The wax still smelled faintly of lavender and cedar. Worked quietly, adjusting wicks, experimenting with jars, and rearranging labels. There was no fanfare, no proclamation of intent, just repetition practice, and a quiet insistence that my hands could make something of value, even if no one in my household seemed to believe it. Some days I wondered if persistence mattered. Would watch my husband leaf through the newspaper or scroll on his phone, utterly indifferent. My daughter would peek in occasionally, curiosity tempered with skepticism. Their doubt pressed against me like a cold wind. I learned to let it pass around me without sinking in. I measured progress in small increments, a smoother pour, a more fragrant candle, a packaging idea that made the product feel professional. Occasionally, a friend stopped by, commented softly on the scents, the presentation, the meticulousness of the work. Those brief affirmations I tucked away, private treasures I could replay when the dismissive words of my family returned to mind. Power shifted slowly, imperceptibly, not in loud moments of confrontation, but in these quiet acknowledgments and in the growing confidence I felt each time I touched wax, stirred oils, or lit a wick and watched the flame dance perfectly. Months passed. Local markets, small online orders, inquiries from boutiques, they began trickling in, almost as if the world outside the walls of my kitchen could see value where my family could not. I noticed a subtle change in myself. My shoulders carried less tension, my mind held more clarity. I could spend an afternoon lost in the process, feeling pride that was independent of anyone else's approval. Then the call came. NORDSTROM. A professional inquiry that became a $250,000 deal. I sat at my table, phone trembling slightly in my hand, hearing the words spoken in firm, professional tones that left no room for doubt. It was real, concrete, undeniable. My work had been seen, recognized, validated by authority. I felt the smallest shift, almost imperceptible. A calm certainty that I could not be underestimated in this domain anymore. Even then, I did not celebrate loudly. There was no dramatic confrontation with my husband, no declaration of victory. I placed the phone down and simply sat for a moment, breathing in the faint scent of cedar, lavender, and victory quietly made tangible. My daughter came in, curious again. I showed her the email. She nodded, soft surprise on her face. I did not need her awe or her laughter. The acknowledgement had come from elsewhere, from someone who could not be swayed by family dynamics. I reflected on what had shifted. My confidence was no longer fragile, it was measured, earned through quiet persistence. My relationship with my husband remained complicated, unaltered in terms of affection or respect. No longer did his words diminish my sense of self. I had claimed my space, my craft, my voice, and it required no dramatics, no humiliation, no revenge. Only patience, refinement, and a willingness to continue creating when the world had looked away. The candles glowed softly on the shelf. I watched the flames flicker and thought about all the small moments that had led to this one. The silence, the persistence, the quiet growth, these had done more than any confrontation ever could. For the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to feel calm pride. Not triumphant, not vindictive, just quietly certain that what I had built was real, and it belonged to me alone.